Hey, what's going on? It's your friend Jonathan, and I'm walking out here in the wilderness. You can hear those tree frogs, and someone just walked past me and said, watch out, there's a snake up ahead. And I was like, say what? Excuse me? Is it on the path? And they said yes, and we walked our separate ways. So I'm on high alert right now, looking out for these creepy crawlers. Anyway, I want to make this video because it hit me as I'm walking out here. Back in 2017, I started thinking about, 2016 actually, yeah, 2016. I had just moved to the North Carolina beautiful state of North Carolina after college wrapped up 2014, 2015. And I was renting a side room. It didn't have a closet, it didn't have a bathroom. It had a bathroom, it was a half bath outside of my room. And it was just this room off the side of the kitchen. It's technically not a legal bedroom. I measured it before I moved out back then because I knew I'd want to remember, you know, how far I've come. And I did that. Rent was like $400 or $500 per month, maybe $5 something with utilities. And I remember renting that room, and it was like 9 feet by 11 feet. I kid you not. And when I moved down here, this sounds super gross, but I promise you, at the time at least, the bed seemed completely clean and good. There was like a queen size mattress, pretty nice as far as I remembered, and I used that, so I didn't even buy a bed. And so I was using this bed that the landlord had in there already, as far as I remember. I'm not quite sure. I remember staying in this room and being happy and being like, man, everything I need is right here. You know what I did for a closet? Target has these like makeshift, what do you call those things that the Chronicles of Narnia, wardrobes, like cloth and pipe wardrobes for like $35 or whatever. So I used that when I stayed there, and it was so overloaded with my clothes, because clothes are heavy, that it started like sagging because it wasn't strong enough. And I remember I had to like tie my college lanyard to the side of it to keep it from falling and collapsing, because it did collapse one time. Got some people up ahead, hold on. And I remember being so like, I didn't care, you know, it was what it is. I had to make it work. And I love that resourcefulness. And you know, when I look back at 2016, and that was 2015 for the most part, yeah. I'm so grateful because it just trained me. Like, I remember so vividly, like there wasn't really much of any room in the room because I had a queen size bed. The room was like 9 feet by 11 feet, literally. I measured it. Ceilings were like normal 9-foot ceilings, if that, maybe 7. What's a low ceiling? I guess it was like 9 feet. Wasn't a big ceiling. Had a broken fan, no window curtain. I used like this thing, kind of like a blackout shade I had from working as a stock guy for a mattress company in college. Shout out to Mattress Warehouse. Tyrone was the best manager I've had up until that point. But anyway, that was a long time ago, and I've had many much better managers since. But at the time, it was an awesome gig. What I'm trying to say, I used that curtain to cover up my window, and I liked it because it was dark and it blacked out the sun from coming in. And I was like, oh, I got myself a good curtain. I used like a keychain to tie it back. So all I'm saying is, like, resourcefulness is so, it's beautiful. Resourcefulness is such a beautiful thing. Gratitude is so powerful. I knew that was a temporary situation. I knew that to get to where you want to go, you have to make sacrifices. So, you know, I didn't really have anyone here. At the time, I was in a great relationship, but outside of that person and their family, I didn't have anyone here, per se. And so I had to get plugged in, had to make connections, had to grow, had to learn to be humble, had to learn to ask, had to learn to be grateful, even at new levels. And man, people are so good to me, and I'm so grateful and have so much gratitude for all of that experience. But I guess around late 2016, I got in my mind that, man, I've been working for this as a chiropractic assistant in the medical field if you will. Technically not the medical field, I suppose. More like physiotherapy, not physical therapy, physiotherapy. So a lot of stuff with connective tissue, myofascia, spinal alignment, and I got my certification as a medical x-ray technician. And I remember working this job and just wanting so badly to build a business, right? I had read The 4 Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and that has some great ideas and theories and awesome ways of optimizing your workflow. The book itself is not about working 4 hours a week. It's about just really optimizing your workflow. So I just remember being so focused and driven. There's such beauty in having so little, because there's no encumbrance. As we continue to grow, that's what I like about parts of minimalism, is that we have such a consumeristic society. There's nothing wrong with getting new stuff, don't get me wrong. I enjoy stuff. But the less you have, the less you have to think about and maintain in your mind. And so, to me, it's an exciting thing. Yeah. So, overall, it's something to keep in mind as we get stuck inside. It's easy to start stacking things up in the garage and being like, oh, buy this, buy that. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. I wanted to make this podcast 2016 all about like heart and health and hustle, right? Because I was big into Gary Vee at the time, and I remember thinking to myself, man, if I have enough hustle, I can make it, be whoever I want to be, build a business, be successful. I can find a shortcut. And what I learned, I was brainstorming for a while. I came up with like 15 names, probably over 20 actually, for this podcast, and eventually I fell on this name. And I was like, this makes good sense, because it's heart. It's the most important aspect of anything, really. And then health and hustle, because if you're going to have hustle, you have to have heart. And also, you have to have heart health. You have to have health. So I was like, all right, this is good. This is good. This is a clever title. Granted, to this day, nobody really knows how to even say the name of the podcast, which is a good sign. I should change the name. But this is where I was coming from. And back then, my whole goal for the show was, how do you go all out without burning out? So I had the little rocket icon on my social media, the emoji with like a full battery, the emoji, the green one, next to it. Like, how do you go all out without burning out? And I realized as I sought insight and sought, what's the other word? Advice? Maybe advice? Doing interviews. Got some big names on the show. Episode 6, we had like Graham Stephan. If you know personal finance, he's on YouTube now. He's over 2 million subs. He was episode 6 on my show, and he had, at the time, he had probably like, I don't know, 500,000 subs, if that. So it was exciting to get in and chat with people like him, who are just so driven and so focused on a different level, learn from them and their sickening work ethic. But something I realized after doing over 100 interviews and producing a podcast from start to finish myself, getting it on almost every platform, Pandora, Google Podcasts, Spotify, is that slow and steady wins the race. And when you're young and you have the fire and desire and the ambition to really go hard when you're young, it's great. It's important. I definitely want to do that and keep doing it. That said, there are no shortcuts, and hear me out. I think I've talked about this before. Shortcuts themselves truly only present themselves as short-lived opportunities. Who do you think is the most available and ready to capitalize on these types of short-term opportunities? People who have been going slow and steady, because they've perhaps allocated some of their, maybe it's directly cash or their energy, to be prepared for when a stock market crash happens. They can scoop up some stock at like 90% off, you know what I mean? So like these opportunities that people look for shortcuts to financial freedom or success, whatever you want to call it, are really short-lived and, quite frankly, don't really work for those of people who only pursue those shortcuts. And the lesson I learned was that, man, if you are in that spot of like, I'm not where I want to be, and I think a lot of you who I'm friends with and a lot of people that resonate with this podcast that's the case for you, perhaps. You're like, man, I got to get it. You may have a successful business right now, but you're not where you want to be. You didn't get everything outsourced yet. It's a lot of burden and weight on your shoulders, maybe. I got friends who have really successful businesses, but they have to be on call all the time, and they're not ungrateful for their position that they're in, but they also recognize like that's not a long-term solution for them that they want to do. They want to have a way to outsource that. And so don't be confused. I mean, people at the top level are still trying to figure things out. What's interesting is that key concept that I was just sharing was having the fire and the desire as a young buck or as a young professional woman, ambitious, can really be great, and it is great, but it takes so much discipline to actually, and hear me out on this, pull back from the throttle a little bit so that you can maintain consistency and longevity in whatever your pursuit. So if your pursuit is athletic, for example, for me at the start of quarantine, I was like, all right, I have to run. There's not really much else I can do to exert myself, especially cardiovascularly. So I started running, right? Is there someone fishing out there? And I ended up hurting my knee within like the first month of quarantine. I was going hard on weighted lunges up and down hills with weights. Oh, guess what? Joke's on me. My knee hurts now, and it was swollen for like 2 months. What the heck? I'm gonna show you guys. Oh, there's a crane right here. Check it out. What's up, Mr. Crane? Hello, Mr. Crane. See him there? There he is, right out there in the water. Hopefully he doesn't have a nest here. He'll probably go berserk. Oh, there he goes. That's crazy. So I'll cut this video off. It's already 12 minutes. But hopefully this give you guys some insight into, hopefully, I don't want to say advice per se, but yeah, maybe some advice or just a friendly conversation with someone on Instagram, your friend. But my whole point in making this is to remind you and to share, really just share with you that it takes discipline to maintain slow and steady pace and to be consistent. It takes so much discipline. But if you do that, and if there ever does come a time or an opportunity, almost like the ones we're in now, to where you could almost find shortcuts to where you want to be, you will be much more poised to take advantage of shortcuts, so to speak, when you have been doing the slow and steady. You can be a rocket and burn out your fuel tank full throttle and bust it. There goes a one wheel. It's pretty cool. And crash, rebuild your tank, go back out, do it again, and fizzle out like a rocket. If you ever seen like a hobby rocket launch, here's this one wheel thing. See him back there with the light? It's cool. You can do that, but I can honestly say from mentors, from interviews I've done with people who own successful businesses and have built them, slow and steady is the way. And being patient. Patience is so huge. Life can change in a matter of seconds, and often it does, even if you are going the slow and steady. However, it takes some time. So be patient, and just know that you're not alone. And if you are struggling through this time, just keep the faith, keep hope, and keep pressing on, keep going. Listen to one thing I can honestly recommend for me. Back when I moved here and I was alone, quite frankly, I was listening to podcasts and audiobooks, but podcasts a lot, because it's like you connect with that guest or the host, I should say. So yes, I'm shamelessly plugging my own show, but check out other shows, like check out podcasts, because it's a great way to maybe kind of feel like you're in a conversation with the host. If it's like hosted by multiple people, or if it's hosted by just one host, yes, check mine out. That'd be great. But also check out other ones, because there's podcasts on every topic, anything you could really want. So it's a great way to feel connected. It's a great way to kind of experience human connection. If you just happen to have plans get canceled, or you just so happen to can't connect with those people today, or like you were planning, or traveling, right? So hopefully this message is encouraging to you, and much love. live wide open, and Godspeed. Talk to you soon.